Disclaimer: everything that is discussed, posted is strictly for educational and historical purposes only. It does not promote nor condone illegal activities. 4FIRE'S champion suspect 1XGL3XW. Suspect aka number 1 suspect was born in the Cape of Storms out of a litter of about 10 to 13 pups. Bred show grand champion Duke double bred tattoo. POR bred out of Monster Kennels Boomer X Monster Kennels Scardo to Dillinger's Mary Jane, DIY by 5 Moonshadows Mortal Kombat XKD Jr. This in fact makes him an Eli, Bolio, yellow dog. The boy was part of a vigorous litter of pups, with him getting bullied by his siblings. However, no matter what they threw at him, he always had the eagerness to get them back one way or another. As a pup I saw him as a full package dog, and he hasn't proven me wrong since. He is a male version of his mother. Suspect and 2 of his siblings Black Beauty and Duke Jr. started as show dogs. Suspect became a conformation CH at an early age. Black Beauty also became conformation CH, and the other brother Duke Jr. He became a GRCH in conformation. Longhang and is a Ace Iron dog. The GRCH breeding produced game warriors such as 2XW Black Beauty as well as 1XL Kane, who lost into the 4XWCH Maui DOY. At the age of 20 months, suspect broke loose and had a little yard accident where we noticed that he had true mouth and ability, managing to stay out of trouble as he was very fast and very much untouched to say the least. Shortly after his yard break, he was then sold to Molten Rock Kennels. His first schooling was into an old-school yellow dog where he found his feet and adjusted very well and very quickly. By then MRK knew he was a special flame. At his second schooling he bumped hangers and cutters with 2 Kazakh-bred dogs, and even proved them to be no match. For his third schooling he went into a son of CH Recoil ROM. In his time of schooling you could see he loved what he was doing and enjoyed it. So much so that when hitting the throat, chest and legs, he would do it with such tenacity it was something to see. His defense was just as brilliant. However, in his schooling, he switched it up a bit by learning to stick to the muzzle like glue and riding the throat of his opponents. At 36 months, MRK advertised the number 1 suspect's weight and hooked him into DBK's for XWCH Suno, bred from Gunman's Bobby to Briscoe stock. MRK's 6-week keep then begun with all hands on deck, helping with his keep. It was during the time of lockdown back then because of COVID-19 with the curfew set at 8 p.m. And to top it off, it was in the peak of winter, so we knew we had a long and tough road ahead. The number 1 suspect knew what time it was and the expectations we had for him. As always in the West, during winter you can never expect anything less than very cold weather and weeks of heavy rainfall, but we soldiered on and made the best out of it. He is the number 1 suspect after all. Release night came and it was time we all see what the boy was made of. There were a few very well-known dogmen in attendance, so this was sure to be a good contest. Keep went well and number 1 suspect knew it was go time. MRK's suspect versus DBK's CH Suna, ref, K27, weight, 16.4 kilograms. Both dogs to be washed and weighed with suspect's weight spot on. Ref orders release your dogs, and it was on. No one suspect shoots out of his corner like a rocket and meets CH Sunas in the center with a hold on his front leg, slowly working his way up to the chest and throat. Suspect is in control and mopping the floor with Sunas at the 15-min mark, making Sunas look like a rag, attacking him from the legs, to the throat, to the stifle and back to the throat again. Suna is starting to fade and the number 1 suspect's intensity and mouth is proving to be too much for the champ. DBK saw that Suna is having a very much hard time in the arena. At 41-minute mark it was all over. DBK conceded and requested for a courtesy scratch, which Suna completed. Suspect wins and makes himself a 1XW, and Suna is now a 4XW1XGL. Suspect's aftercare went smooth and he managed to recover very well in a short space of time as he did not take a lot of damage from the champ. 6 months passed and MRK thought it best to advertise the number 1 suspect's weight again. And just like that, suspect was hooked into BHK's Bobby. Bobby was a yellow, Bolio, Frisco-bred dog with a very cool, calm and collective fighting style. 1XW number 1 suspect versus 1XW Bobby, weight, 16.5 kilograms, ref, K27, dogs are washed and weighed with both dogs making weight. Dogs are ordered by the ref to be released and they meet each other hard in the middle of the box. Suspect fanged at the 3-minute mark and we asked the ref to unfang suspect, which he did. As the match continues, Suspect is hitting the shoulders, switching between to the legs and then ending up making his way to the muzzle. Bobby gets a nice hold on Suspect. Slowly but surely Bobby is building confidence and momentum. Suspect throws Bobby to the ground as if he is trying to tell Bobby tonight is not the night while biting Bobby's legs. At 23 minute we start to notice that Suspect's face is getting swollen and once again he is fanged, only this time on both sides. We asked the ref to unfang and he responded. By the 49-minute mark Suspect has broken Bobby's confidence and was now the top dog, hitting Bobby's legs and shoulders. Bobby had a weird fighting style, staying underneath similar to GRCH Amadeus, Suspect trying to bite his neck and legs. But whatever Bobby threw at Suspect, Suspect did it better and with more aggression. These two warriors went toe-to-toe. 1 hour 30 minutes and a out-of-hold handle is made. No one suspects to scratch and once again shoots out of his corner hitting Bobby with everything he has left in the tank. At the 2-hour mark signs of eagerness to finish the job started to show from Suspect. 2 hour 30 minute and Suspect is going for it as Bobby is still fighting from the bottom. 2 hour 46 minute we started to smell the dry blood in the air, like organs being fried. We decided to concede and asked for a courtesy scratch. Suspect stumbles over his feet trying to get to Bobby, making a very deep game scratch. The crowd was getting crazy. At this point Suspect was completely drained but he would not stop. This is the gameness everyone in the dog game looks for, gameness at its best. He could scratch all day and all night but we weren't going to risk his life like that. He was still a special flame after all. After this loss Suspect was known as a 1xW1xGL. Bobby was awarded his second win making him a 2xW. Congratulations to Bobby and his team. Well played, BHK. After his second match, Suspect was somewhat retired and bred to some of the best females around. During this period the number 1 Suspect along with his mother Mary Jane, a young prospect's son of Suspect and a granddaughter of GRCH Amadeus 7xWDLY16, were given to 4FIRE kennels by MRK and MK where he was to carry out his breeding duties. Unfortunately 3 months into his stay on the 4FIRE farm he had a yard accident where a blue Van Dyck bred dog broke loose and ran into Suspect's chain spot. It was a horrific scene, I must say, as they were clearly fighting the whole night. Leaving out most of the details, all I can say is that by the time the groundkeeper came back to the farm from work in the morning, there was blood all around Suspect's area and there he was next to his house in hold of the dead blue dog's neck. In examination we could see the blue dog put up quite a fight as Suspect's face had holes the size of a golf ball and swell up like a watermelon. No one Suspect went into recovery for a long time, about 3 months if memory serves me correctly, but once that was done, no time was wasted and 4FIRE kennels decided to advertise his weight immediately. It wasn't long and we were contacted by a close friend of the kennel up north representing Massive Attack Kennels and he was telling us about 2 of the most feared dogs up there by the name of FFK's 1xW Boogeyman and Hardmouth Kennels 1xW Lupita. Our response to him is that we have 2 winners that we think are good contenders to run in the fast lane with them and that we are more than willing to hook into them. Word from 4FIRE kennels was that they were only able to make 16.8 kilograms. Knowing that Suspect was a 16.5 kilograms dog, we accepted and took on the challenge. His littermate sister 4FIRE'S Black Beauty, who was a 1xW at the time, was hooked into Hardmouth's 1xW Lupita, beating her and earning her 2xW in over 2 hours. Keep win well for the boy. He knew what was going down, his attention was piqued, and he was just in the zone, so that went smooth for both dogs. The build-up was nice and subtle as it was all about the business and planning around the travel. The day comes and we packed. Dogs are weighed, given their 2-minute pre-travel walk to empty completely and put up in their cages. Couple of pictures are taken and by 7 p.m. we were on the road. I think we had 3 stops which 2 of them we walked the dogs. It's Ragnarok, Big Bite and 4FIRE kennels. We are a combined making this trip. We arrived at the location at around 5 a.m. and we were drained but had one objective in mind, winning. The host directed us to his home venue where his father would meet us upon entry to his yard and told us to make ourselves comfortable. He arrived and the opportunity was taken to soak up some knowledge from one of the iconic dogmen in the local game. What was also a blessing was that the opponents rocked up 5 hours from the time Fortis returned from his errands which was around 4 p.m. Mind you, show time was set for 7 p.m. However, we decided to let the show go on with no forfeits paid as both Boogiem and Lupita came slightly overweight. 2XW 1XG Ulner 1 suspect versus 1XW Boogeyman, weight 16, 7 kg, ref, FIRE'S. Dogs are washed, weighed and ordered by the ref to be released. The show was on and they meet dead in the center with suspect figuring Boogeyman out. Boogeyman is showing that he means business, but suspect is keeping him at bay with defensive ear holds, moonwalking all across the pit. You could see the size difference immediately with Boogeyman towering over suspect, but he has met worse before. The match went on for some time with suspect on the defense at 20 minutes and side baits coming in from all angles. Clearly the opponents knew something we didn't, as the confidence was through the roof. But there was nothing earth-rocking, as we were also feeling our dog. For a while it looked like Boogeyman was throwing suspect around, but he had control, with leg holds and defensive tactics of deliberately going to the ground chest first and digging into the chest of Boogeyman. At the 30-minute mark, Boogeyman was starting to slow his pace down, trying to use less energy, but he just couldn't help but take the size difference to his advantage and choosing to use power to conquer the NR1 suspect. He was wrong, to say the least. Suspect has a nice muzzle hold on Boogeyman at the 35-minute mark and he stays there for some time. You could see the panic in Boogeyman's eyes as the blood is dripping like an open tap, trying to get out of it. Around this time, I had started going out of the venue for a cigarette when I met with some dogmen from the other side, one of them from Massive Attack Kennels, who would later acquire a son of suspect. Now I'm back in the venue and it's the 40-minute mark and it's a stalemate with both dogs giving pound-for-pound action. A turn was only made by suspect and granted at the 45-minute mark. Ref instructs to handle when out of hold and Dr. Aspris wasted no time and got his handle on suspect at the 1 hour mark. At this point Mr. Massive Attack is standing next to me in our corner when he looks at me and says, "Oh bro, you guys are taking the win home." I looked at him, chuckled and asked, "What did I tell you outside, brother man?" Nor one suspect to scratch and he does so with ease. Now it's a game of handling ability os Dr. Aspris together with suspect's gameness in our minds, as we can all see what's about to happen. The opponents still have high hopes in their boy but not game enough to take on any more side baits. No biggie, we were there for the dogs and the win. Made no difference to us if they took on our side baits or not. Boogeyman has suspect with a stifle hold at the 1 hour 5-minute mark, shaking intensely. Suspect manages to remove him and retaliates with his own stifle hold. He is no there for long, as he was just trying to let Boogeyman know that whatever he throws at him, he can do it better and that he was not leaving the arena without his victory. 1 hour 15 and Boogeyman's energy is depleted as he has slowed down to a complete halt and his mouth is not functioning as it should from that muzzle hold by suspect. 1 hour 20 and it's clear to the naked eye. This is now a test to see how game Boogeyman really is, as suspect has been on top for the lost time, picking out Boogeyman's weak spots like the ears, legs and neck, really putting his all into it when in the neck. A handle is made and it's Boogeyman to scratch. The room has been noisy from the beginning from excitement. The ref, being that he understood that this was one for the history books, could have stopped the proceeding long time ago after numerous warnings, but we were a relatively controllable bunch of dogmen. When it came to Boogeyman's turn to scratch, a pin could be heard drop from across the province. At the 3rd count you could start hearing soft comments like a who and yeesh followed, but cheering and laughter by the time the ref got to the 6th count. Ref got to the 10th count and it was all over at 1 hour 22 minutes, making suspect a 2XW1XGL. 4FIRE Kennels requested for a courtesy scratch and sure enough suspect bolts out of his corner only to meet a defenseless cur. Dr. Aspris did suspects off to care himself and back into the box with Black Beauty. The JHB crew didn't understand what the fuck was going on, but we most definitely believed in Black Beauty. This was the greatest match scene of 2022. These were some of the words from the dogman that were present on the night. Representatives of Badlands Kennels, Phil Kennels and Empire Kennels from the north, quick aftercare and further conversations with FIRE'S, and we once again hit the road by midnight. The journey home was smooth with no problems on the road. The dogs are getting their well-deserved rest in their crates at the back of the backy truck. We took a quick nap along the road just till the sun came up at station. We had 3 stops to check on the dogs and 1 for refreshments, but on the first one we could see minimum damage on suspect, but the damage on suspect's sister Black Beauty was a lot, however not bad to the point we had no hope in her survival. The second was just to check if she was still okay. Suspect was good, limping a bit, but I'm sure if you were to take out a flirt stick he would be game for a round. Off-road was the agenda now, and getting home was our priority, as the dogs were safe so stops weren't long. Home at last. Going back to them made no difference to us if they took on-side baits or not. Comment. I must be honest, but their money did taste good on the trip back to the west side, the best side, lol. The now to XW suspect 1XGL and his sister to XW Black Beauty are on their way home from a hectic day at the office, far from home. 4FIRE kennels are really happy and excited for the outcome as both won over to really good dogs and long-ass road trip. Then 2 months went past, while suspect was enjoying the soft life. We then got a phone call from DWK saying they have a 1XW called Friday that won us with MDK and 4FIRE'S IVR, and that they have a dog that would kill suspect but don't want to hook on dog's name, but on weight, and we agreed. In this keep with the now to XW suspect was doing very well, working extremely hard every day. He has the willingness to please you with everything. He even goes for swimming on his own. He's a super dog, will do anything to make you happy. 6 weeks went past and it's now time for the boy to dance with the devil. We arrived at the B venue and washed, weighed the dogs, and we noticed that the dog DWK brought to the show is not 1XW Friday but offspring of Mountain Man CH Red Boom HB, a very big and tall dog for his weight, 16.5 male. His name was Bad Boys Rex. 4FIRE'S to XW suspect versus Bad Boys Rex. Match day came fast with everybody looking forward to see these two titans in action. Both dogs came in at roughly 16.5 with no one missing weight, and both dogs looked like they were in their prime. Their conditioning and keep was looking perfect with very little amount of fat, just pure muscle. The ref made sure each dog had a good wash before the contest took place, as the dogs were brought into their corners. The 2XW suspect was screaming as if he was a hound from hell, and Rex was not deterred at all and he was eager to go in for the kill. Boom, both dogs meeting in the center while the just flies behind them. 2XW suspect versus Rex was really a heated up contest. Both dogs on their hind legs pushing each into the corners of the pit. This contest did not seem as if it would go the distance. Rex was showing some real intensity and mouth having great early moments in the contest, while hitting suspect bleeders in his chest. At the 10-minute mark the entire pit was a bloodbath and it seemed as if a bull was slaughtered without being tied up. Suspect was showing real ability and intelligence. Suspect was put into some nasty spots inside the pit, but he was able to figure out as to how he can maneuver his way out of it. Both dogs were going in for the kill, and at the 30-minute mark, Rex was hitting hard bleeders in Suspect chest, while Suspect was hitting bleeders on the muzzle of Rex. As Suspect was holding the muzzle, you could hear the cracking of bones as he was biting on the muzzle of Bad Boys Rex. At the 40-minute mark, both dogs then seemed to go pound for pound while driving each other back and forth on their hind legs while being able to work their way up and continue driving into one another's shoulders, stifle, ear holds, and so forth. As the fight goes on, Suspect takes out his secret move. He starts working Rex in his gut. He takes Rex in his gut and starts using him as a mop for the pit, dragging him across the pit. At the 60-minute mark, Rex was an extremely game dog and continued driving back into Suspect, but this only got him into Suspect's trap. Coming to the 1 hour 20-minute mark, Suspect starts getting into his shoulders, then transitions into a throat hold while the crowd chanting on. Suspect was alternating from chest to shoulders, then into the throat of Rex. At 1 hour 55-minute, Rex had seemed to pick up pace again and got into the back end of Suspect while Suspect struggling to get a solid hold in this position. He then took by the throat and worked the hold very hard and rough. Both dogs made hard scratches in the pit, but it seemed that Rex could have had a power advantage. Suspect was an extremely intelligent and game dog with supreme fighting abilities. This was an absolute bloodbath, both dogs trying to rip each other apart. At the 2 hour mark, a turn was called on Rex. Ref saying handle your dogs. When out of hold for FIRE, he then gets a fast handle and both dogs made a very hard scratch into each other. Rex then puts Suspect on the floor and puts him in his corner. Suspect then tried fighting from the bottom and he found his way into the gut. At this point, Rex seemed that he was about to see his maker. At the 2 hour 20-minute mark, Rex looked like a dead dog but still gave his owner everything he had while Suspect was busy trying to kill him. By the 2 hour 52 minutes, the ref tells Mountain Man to let his dog go in the corner and Rex stood the line looking at his owner like, please help me, sir. This motherfucker Suspect is never going to give up. Is the meaning behind tenacity. Mountain Man then pushed Rex over. He just dropped as he was about to make his scratch. This then declared suspect as CH suspect 1XGL1XGIS. On his way home from the hectic day at work, the now CH suspect 1XGL1XGIS is in for a very rough recovery, and by the help of two great dogmen Dr. Aspris and Kennel 27 he made a long but safe recovery. The now CH suspect 1XGL is a 1 in a million dog. You'll never find another like him. In all his shows you could see he really loves to hunt. Doesn't matter the size of his opponents. He can go pound for pound with any dog any day after each other. This boy has the tenacity, unwillingness to quit despite the most difficult circumstances, even facing injury or death, and is a very special little dog with the heart of gold. Suspect is now living his best life retired on the yard of 4FIRE kennels and is a big part of their lives. The breeding program seems to be producing very game offspring with a good suspect dog. One should expect gameness, mouth, ability, wind, intelligence, and decent fighting ability in his offspring, and if you're lucky, you'll find one that is exceptional in all of the above characteristics, just like CH suspect 1XGL1XGIS. Just want to give thanks to everyone involved during his career and be as game as your dogs. We are here to make a difference, not to be the same. 4FIRE kennels. Well, there you have it, folks, the story of 4FIRE'S champion number 1 suspect 3XW1XGL1GIS.